Hey Nathan, couldn't agree more. Let's do this thing.
Hello, welcome to Laughing Place Movie Club. Today we are talking about Vacation Friends, the new Hulu original movie brought to Hulu by 20th Century Studios, which I believe is the first 20th Century Studios homegrown project created just for Hulu as a feature, correct? Not series, but feature?
Yeah, I think it's the first, basically, like 20th century direct to streaming on Hulu movie.
Yeah. So a big first. Uh, what did you think of it, Benji?
Well, to be clear, I mean this is a 20th Century Studios movie on Hulu. It is rated R. Um,
And how?
yeah, and there's no. I shouldn't say no. There's not a lot of nudity in it. It's not, and there's not a
Yeah,
lot of
there's. I
violence or
mean,
anything like that.
it's
But it's
it does not take full advantage of the R rating.
right. But it's I mean it's definitely R rated. It's not, there's no PG-13 about it. It's not borderline. Raunchy comedy. Well, and I don't mean that in a negative, there's a place for that. That's fine. Just the unfortunate thing, it's not a good raunchy comedy. It's yeah, it's bad. Um it's not like, here's the deal. If like you were just in the old times, like if you were just looking to go out to a movie and it was the only thing playing, like it's not good, but like it's not, if you're going out to have a good time, like, but in a world where you have everything at your fingertips, there's no reason to watch this movie.
Yeah, and I think that its main draw is its star power, which I will say I do enjoy all of the cast in it, while the plot is pretty thin and the characters are weak. I think Lil Rel Howery does a great job carrying the film. John Cena,
A
I
Ferdinand thing.
typically, yeah, for Ferdinand fame. But typically for me, I don't watch like the F9 series. I don't see a lot of John Cena as an actor, and when I do, it's usually in like a minor cameo. So I thought he really held his own in this ensemble. I am a big fan of Meredith Hagner because I love Search Party on HBO Max, rival of Hulu. And also, I was not really familiar with Yvonne Orji, but I really enjoyed her role in this as well. So I thought the four leads were pretty charismatic and engaging, and that was why I was able to like sustain myself through the film. But it is awkward. My apologies, Abby. I'm Alex. This is Benji. We're from Laughing Place, so sorry we didn't say that at the beginning. Um, but yeah, so a quick synopsis of the plot. Vacation Friends is about a couple. It's Lil Rel Howery and Devon Orji, and they're on a vacation in Mexico. Lil Rel is set on the perfect proposal for his soon to be fiance. But basically, from the moment that they arrive at the resort, everything goes wrong. When they arrive at their suite, it's flooded, and it turns out the people who have the room above them left their jacuzzi running, and it overflowed, and it completely ruined their suite. So the hotel's booked up, their room is inhospitable, and so facing having to go to an airport hotel, they get invited by John Cena and Meredith Hagner's character to stay with them. It turns out they are the couple above them who left their jacuzzi running. And they're pretty out there and crazy. Like they're in the best suite in the resort, but they don't necessarily have the means to be able to afford it. A lot of the things that come up in there are kind of like red flags. Like they're basically like wasting all their money on this one vacation. But Lil Rel and Yvonne are able to kind of let loose a little bit. They have fun with them. You find out that Yvonne's parents don't like Lil Rel, so the wedding is going to be awkward, and so they decide to kind of like have a pseudo wedding done by an Aztec shaman on the beach. And anyway, at the end of that time, you know, the John Cena Meredith Hegner couple want their contact info, and they say no, and they go off, and then it's 7 months later. It's time for their wedding in Atlanta, and then they show up out of nowhere, basically have stalked them and crashed the wedding. So to me, the movie was a little bit of a mix of wedding crashers for the wedding crashing plot. Cable guy, because there are all these red flags. You truly think that John Cena and Meredith Hegner's characters are crazy, and they make it seem that way. You find out that that's necessarily not the case, which I think is one of the few things that the film did where it like kind of redeemed it in some way. Overall, not a great film. And then it also has splashes of a lot of other films. Particularly, I'm thinking Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Maybe it's because of the setting, but also the dual couple from that movie, which the first thing I think of when I think of Forgetting Sarah Marshall is the Muppets. But yeah, it is to Rebecca's point. That is horrifying. Yeah, it is a little bit weird. So yeah, it was overall an underwhelming film for me, and I didn't go into Vacation Friends expecting all that much. I think part of its problem is Hulu has had some really amazing original films lately, and that's partially a benefit of the lack of theatrical release distribution during the past year. So we got Palm Springs, which was, I think, my favorite Hulu original film to date. There was I'm drawing a blank on the name. It was the biopic, not Aretha Franklin, but I'm drawing.
Billy. The People versus United States versus Billie Holiday.
Versus Billie Holiday. Thank you. That's the one I was thinking of. Like, that was fantastic. You know, and then so having this kind of come on those heels, I wasn't a huge fan of Plan B or the more horror Alana Grazer film. What was that one called?
False Positive.
False Positive. Neither of those thrilled me, but I guess Vacation Friends looked a little more up tempo than both of those, and I was a little let down.
Yeah, I would say it's like it's not good, and I don't want to say it's good, but it's not like miserable like some of those other films can be, just because, you know, in the end it's just a raunchy comedy. It's not, you know, dealing with things like the weighty subjects that, you know, False Positive or Plan B are, which, you know, I feel like we got all these like heavy movies last year because they had to be released somewhere, but like we missed the sort of silliness.
Well, and I will say, like, I'm all for a raunchy comedy, but there's raunchy comedies where you remember jokes and things, and things land right and become the kind of thing you want to see again. Like, I love 40-Year-Old Virgin, Mean Girls. I wouldn't say it's too raunchy, but, like, you know, there are comedies that I can go and watch again and again. Airplane's your favorite.
Well, I don't know if I call that raunchy, but they're like, and what's funny is like sometimes with the raunchy comedies, like it's the raunchiness that makes you uncomfortable. This is not all that raunchy. I mean, it's not G-rated, but it
makes you uncomfortable in the way that The Cable Guy makes you uncomfortable, which is that, you know, these people seem not well and are stalking.
But I will say at the end, what's interesting is it's not like, you know, it's sort of, it's the raunchy comedy with the heart of gold at the end. Like, you know, you understand everybody better, everything kind of works out, and not spoiler, but yeah, the one thing I got to mention is the terrible ADR. Yeah. I don't know if it's because of COVID and like they just didn't bring people back to like an actual sound booth, but it does have a lot of drug use.
Yeah. A lot of cocaine played for comedy.
Yeah, but is it any more than that? What's in The Good Dinosaur?
Oh, sick burn on Pixar.
Yeah, But
hallucinogenic mushrooms, if I remember it correctly.
But you want to excuse a little bit of like the bad special effects because you don't know what the limitations are in the COVID world. But it is not what I would consider a well-crafted film.
According to the credits, it was entirely filmed in Georgia. So Georgia does a lot of doubling for Mexico.
Right. I mean,
like a third of the film is set in Mexico.
And Georgia does not have the world's. I mean, it doesn't have the biggest coastline in the world.
Well, and isn't it all still like a big oil slick?
Any case, to me, what's interesting about this movie is not so much the movie itself, but it shows how, like, I don't know that Disney really had a plan for 20th Century Fox.
Because or 20th Century Studios.
Well, no, I mean Fox when they bought it. It was Fox.
Pre-acquisition.
Basically, they bring in 20th Century Fox. They let go a lot of 20th Century Fox because, a lot of the movies that kind of came out in that transition period didn't do very well at the box office.
The Kid Who Would Be King.
Right, and Breakthrough.
Underwater.
And The Hate You Give.
And the Underwater.
Yeah. So, but basically, so they lose a lot of talent. A lot goes to Paramount, and then they're like, "Oh no, 20th Century Fox can make movies for Hulu," and then so they add all these executives, they add this whole infrastructure because now, while there will still be theatrical releases, presumably, they're going to be making a fair amount of movies direct to Hulu, of which this is the first one. So this will be a trivia question at some point. What was the first 20th Century Studios movie to go to Hulu?
DB's taking notes.
Yeah, for your Hulu themed quiz, DB. But I hope that they get better. But I will say, Searchlight will handle like the artsy fare.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like big sort of fun movies, whether it's an action movie or comedy, but just better. On Hulu.
Yeah, make it better.
Yeah. I know it's easy to say.
It's easy. Just make it better.
Just make a good movie.
Just don't make it suck.
But that's probably easier said than done because it has a decent cast, right? Lil Rel and John Cena, they're not like D-listers by any stretch. Like some of those other movies you mentioned did have decent cast, but a lot of them have like.
Yeah, this is not like cycling from the Hallmark talent pool,
right?
They're not borrowing from Lifetime to make this movie. In terms of casting, I don't think anyone's principal job is on a soap, so it levels up in quality a little bit.
John Cena
is WWE a soap?
I think so. Where's Jeremiah when you need him? Jeremiah, are you watching?
I know they've got wacky plots. That's what I always hear is wrestling is soap opera for men. Although people really don't like this Jake Paul guy, but that's UFC.
So this is a little off topic, but I think you should tell what happened at the airport when we try to go through security.
Awkward. We have Clear, that thing where you don't need to pull out a driver's license to get through TSA PreCheck, and Benji's first, and the guy who's definitely younger than both of us asks if I'm his accompanied minor. We're only 4 years apart in age, but that was fun because we do get that I guess I present as younger than I am. I think Abby was wondering how old we are. I just turned 36. You were 39, Ben. And so that was interesting. That set the tone for an interesting week of trips, in which one time I was asked if I am his unaccompanied minor. Although one time at Epcot, Belle asked if I was your beast. So
understandable.
It got lost in the shuffle of the LP summit. There was too much going on, but yeah, that was an entertaining event. Vacation Friends, was there any other thoughts that you had on it, Ben, that you wanted to talk about?
I don't think specifically on the film, but it does make me hopeful that there will be. Like, I kind of feel like they knew it was a stinker. Like, they didn't put a lot of.
There was no marketing.
Yeah.
I never saw anything on broadcast about Vacation Friends. I think unless you were on Hulu or Laughing Place, you didn't know what was happening. They paid Twitter to trend the hashtag on Friday, and I think that's about as much marketing budget as they had.
But I do hope we do get some decent 20th Century Studios films, because, like, honestly, the theaters are for big movies now. You know, you can lament it all you want, but it's
telling that to CinemaCon.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's true. So, you know, I'd love to see something like this, but better on, you know, Hulu more regularly, as we keep going through Movie Club here.
Well, and speaking of Hulu, I mean, Nine Perfect Strangers is out now. I've been privy and lucky enough to see Only Murders in the Building, which starts tomorrow. And that is fantastic. So I think on the series side, Hulu is still crushing it and dominating for the general audience streaming platforms. I'm a huge fan of a lot of the originals that are on Hulu. And they attract me in a way that probably second to that would be HBO Max. But in general, the other streamers, in my opinion, are having a hard time competing in terms of quality of original content product.
So we won't be on next week, but next week, the gang is going to be talking about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the what?
Shang-Chi.
Sorry, it's a plot point.
It's a whole plot point.
And the Legend of the Ten Rings. So the review embargo lifts. Obviously, no spoilers, but you want to give your initial feelings?
I love this movie. I've seen it twice, and I think it's important for Marvel Studios fans to see it early, because I feel like this one helps connect kind of where Phase 4 is going with this whole multiverse. It does some fun teases and has some fun post-credit tags as well. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Don't risk your life for it, but if you can see it safely, see it.
Yeah, it's interesting because he's a very different characterization in the comics, and not in a bad way. Like, for a movie where, you know, it's a different medium, I feel like they made some really good choices in sort of reimagining the character for not just reimagining him, but reimagining his father, who, you know, I don't get too much into it, has a very complicated backstory in Marvel Comics. So I think they found a way to kind of modernize that story while still making it fit with what we knew of the Ten Rings before, and not making it, you know, kind of throwing that away. So I definitely recommend seeing it. It's beautiful. I would see it on a big screen if you can, and, you know, you're vaccinated and all that stuff.
Has Disney Plus done a Marvel Studios Legends for the Ten Rings?
I don't remember. I know they did another one.
Like, I know they did the Tesseract, or they did a couple right before What If started, but I feel like it was Sharon Carter and, like, the Tesseract. And I feel like a Ten Rings one would be helpful, because it's been sprinkled in. It would be short, but it's like in all three Iron Mans, and I think the first Ant-Man has a little bit of Ten Rings.
Okay, so this Wednesday, Wednesday, 2 days from now, they will have one on the Ten Rings.
Awesome.
So, good idea.
You're welcome for the idea. Someone's feverishly editing it right now, and it'll be up Wednesday.
So that's next week. We've got Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings. And then we got the rest of September. We'll just run through real quick. We've got Dark Phoenix, Tomorrowland, and Confessions of a Shopaholic. So, yeah.
It's going to be an exciting movie.
Those are some winners.
Yeah. I think Shang-Chi is like the one standout. I have good memories of Confessions of a Shopaholic, but I only saw it way back when in theaters. The other two, not a fan.
So hopefully October will do better. But in any
Yeah,
case,
we need better stuff coming to the Disney streaming bundle.
so looking ahead to tomorrow, if you are a Marvel fan, it is. Let me answer this question, Juby. Why is there no happening on the LP Movie Club? Because we only do Disney movies. But tomorrow is Marvel's 81st birthday, I feel like. Anyway, it's its birthday. Or maybe actually probably 82nd birthday.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like the 80th birthday was when we were out and about.
I will tell you that there will be some big Marvel announcements tomorrow. So follow and see what that's about. I know we're going to have Daredevil and some other stuff to talk about. So then tune in on Wednesday for Marvel Time at 1 o'clock, where we'll go through all of the big news, bigger than Madonna. And then at 4 o'clock, you never did Superstar Lima, did you?
I never. No, I did not have the pleasure.
And then
it was simply closed on my first visit to DCA.
And then at 4 o'clock, the Rebeccas will be back with Barely Necessities as we start to head into the holidays. So a lot to go on. Like, subscribe, all that jazz.
Ring that bell.
Ring that bell. And then if you're bored after this and you're looking for something to do, watch the opening number from the Disneyland 30th Anniversary television special. Hey, Kidder. Yes, that will be next week's movie club. The Legend of the Ten Rings. And that's don't forget to tune in tomorrow, too, at 4 o'clock for Barely Necessities, 4 p.m. Pacific. Anyway, any last words, Alex?
Goodbye, everybody.
I hope we don't get one of those like kid alerts on this stream for having someone so young be co-hosting.
Oh yeah, your unaccompanied minor over here, but you marked it as not suitable for children.
Yeah, degenerates, all of us. Bye, everybody.
I just want to watch Bluey.